Hello, everybody. This is Zemanon, coach of the Detroit Solgaleo, bringing you our Week 6 matchup in the LDL Offseason League. So, if you just watched our Week 5 match, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get all these episodes out as quick as I can, trying to catch up on the lost time here. That's why I don't have the Pokemon out on the screen, or the sprites out for me to take out every time. But we are actually, we're 3-2 on the season, so we're above 500. But we are in Week 6 going up against Dix, D-I-X, like the, isn't that Kingdom Hearts character? I could be wrong. That's Diz, whatever. We're going against Dix and the Galladatasary, which has a pretty cool logo. It's got like Gallade on it with the helmet. It's pretty cool. But his team, the Galladeatasary, their group of Pokemon consists of Celesteela, Mega Gallade, obviously, Metagross, Alolan Muck, Azelf, Entei, Tyrantrum, Vaporeon, Rotom-Mow, Kamala, Vileplume, and Unknown. And he never brought the Unknown. He only brought the Vileplume once or something. I knew he wasn't bringing Unknown, honestly. So the other Pokemon I had to actually worry about, and his 2 Z users are Azelf and Celesteela. So Mega Gallade is pretty scary, but the fact that I have priority and quick attack on my Pinsir makes it not as big a deal. But what I'm more worried about is like his sweeping potential, honestly. And his like move coverage. He gets the Ice Punch, he gets Leaf Blade, he gets Swords Dance or Bulk Up or Thunder Punch or like Zen Heva, Drain Punch, like whatever he wants to go for. Gallade is really scary to face against. But then the other threats on this team I was worried about were Celesteela, Metagross, and Tyrantrum, and he brought all of them, which sucks for us. But some fun things that we brought this week. I was choice Scarf Rotom because I thought that was just the best way to deal with a lot of the stuff on his team, and I'd be able to Volt Switch without taking any damage or getting hit by any of his attacks. My Breloom was actually pretty bulky this week, like full HP investment with leftovers. I wasn't looking to sweep with it. I was just trying to do a little bit of damage, and I had Spore also, obviously, because that makes sense. Regular Pinsir. I had Shuckaberry, Alolan Golem. His job was really just to set up Stealth Rocks and then eat an Earthquake from something and then hit it back. Like if Celesteela had Earthquake, I'd be able to Thunder Punch it or something like that. But mainly his job was to set up rocks. Then my Swampert was very conventional Swampert with Scald, Earth Power, Toxic, and Stealth Rocks. And we had Fight Z Hoopa this week, where last week we were rocking the Trick Room, and that worked out for us. But let's get into it here. I make quite possibly the most boneheaded move of the century starting off this match. So I knew he was going to lead Azelf. I was like, he is 100% leading Azelf. And I was like, oh man, Mega Pinsir literally can set up here and just win, and the game is over. And then in my head, I'm like, well, what if he has Fire Blast? And then I looked at the calcs, and if he had no special investment and he turned out to be Expert Belt, but he didn't have a boosting item, Fire Blast would not have knocked me out. So I was like, oh, okay, I guaranteed live, and then I knock him out. And he missed Fire Blast, and I feel so terrible because at the time I didn't. At the time I was like, whatever, I would just be low HP. But when I learned he was Expert Belt and had investment, that Fire Blast absolutely 100,000,000% would have knocked me out, and I would have had the biggest like facepalm moment of my life. So I got lucky there. I'm not even gonna act like it wasn't lucky there. But he does get the free switch into Celesteela, and I just freely go into my Golem because I knew he was gonna Rock Slide. For him to bring in the Celesteela like that against Pinsir made me know he had Rock Slide. So this was free Stealth Rocks to get these in, and his Metagross, man, this Metagross was just perfectly prepped. I did not have Defog this week. I had no way of hazard removal, so he gets his Stealth Rocks up, and I have Earthquake, but it's not Stab, and he had the Shuckaberry as well, which is funny because my Golem also has the Shuckaberry. So I don't even bring him into the yellow in that one. That was pathetic damage from the Golem. Ironhead doesn't flinch, thank God. It's not even, doing too much damage to us there. A second Earthquake brings him down really low, but not enough. Obviously, if he was not Shuckaberry, if he was something else, I would have been able to knock him out. Excuse me. I'm talking faster than the gameplay is going here. So unfortunately, I have to have Rotom take these rocks, and every time he switches in, he is going to take this. But I knew he was going to Iron Head, so that wasn't going to be a lot of damage, and he does not have Bullet Punch, so we don't even take more than that. And I don't necessarily reveal the Choice Scarf because Rotom is naturally faster than the Metagross. So that is one Pokemon down on his side, and I'm feeling good because Metagross is a big problem. But then again, Hoopa is becoming less and less relevant as I knock things out that it really can deal with. He brings in Gallade as he sees my Golem, which was his switch into it. So I know he has something to handle it. That could be Close Combat or Drain Punch, whatever he wants to hit. And I think Golem has done its job. It set up rocks. It, for the most part, traded with the Metagross. It really stunk that it wasn't able to knock it out. But I'm okay with him close combating because now he's at -1 defense, and I can bring the Pinsir in and go for the quick attack here. And unfortunately, I do have to take those rocks. Again, not smart. Kids at home, don't draft Mega Pinsir if you're not going to have hazard removal. But I didn't have a lot of options for hazard removal because of my Pokemon with their 4x weakness. So Quick Attack does nothing to the Celesteela there. I could have went for the Swords Dance expecting him to switch out, and I think that probably would have been the better play. But I didn't think he would go for I didn't think he would go for Rock Slide because he saw I switched it out the last time. So he actually goes for the Leech Seed, gets his recovery. That's very smart of him because he would have been able to leech whatever I brought in except for the Breloom. I guess in retrospect, going into Breloom was probably the better play because he's not going to care about Rock Slide and he's not going to care about Leech Seed. But I get a little bit of damage off with the Pinsir, bring him down to half HP, or the Celesteela down to half HP. And Pinsir goes down to Rock Slide. What is the Beast Boost? It's actually a defense Beast Boost. That chose for me. I didn't necessarily have to go into the Rotom because he was at half health. But because he got the defense boost, I wanted to switch into it and just claim this knockout here with the Volt Switch. I assumed that meant he was not as specially strong. So Volt Switch was going to knock out. And I get the pivot into the Swampert. I didn't think he really had anything good for the Swampert, and I'm lefties, so that counteracts the Stealth Rocks. I'm back up to full HP on him. He brings in the Gallade here, and I was like, oh, I don't know, is he sword, or, what's he gonna do? Is he Swords Dance or something like that? And then as he clicks it, I remember Leaf Blade on Gallade, and I live. Swampert, Prince Sidon, he lives on this Swampert here. Now, I stand by this play. Toxic, the question was either to Scald or Toxic. If I Toxic, it would have done more damage every turn. I needed to get him down to a certain point of HP for my Breloom to sweep. I stand by the Scald because I had a 30% chance to burn him, where the Toxic one could have missed and wouldn't have done. That did like 40% to him. Now, look at this prep. Like, this guy is a god. He takes the Stealth Rocks damage, and then I go for the Thunderbolt because I know the Rotom can't switch back in ever again, so there's no reason to Volt Switch. And he's Cell Battery Entei, which raises his attack based off of being hit by an electric attack. Like, I never would have thought that was going to happen a day in my life that he'd go for that. So I have to go into my Hoopa here and bluff the Scarf to make him think. And that's what he thought. We talked after the game, and he went for Extreme Speed. He didn't know that he was actually faster than me here, so he thought he was going to get knocked out. So he had to go for Extreme Speed, or he would have done no damage, and I still would have been at full HP on my Hoopa. And look how much that +1 Extreme Speed did to my Hoopa. That was crazy. Now here's his last threat on his team, the Tyrantrum. I know he's Scarfed. It's 2-2. He's Scarfing into Head Smash, right? Now I'll go over my train of thought throughout this battle as the decisions I made, and then after the battle we're going to talk about what other options I went for. So Breloom here lives a head smash, guaranteed. So I went for a power-up punch because at +1, I misremembered how high of HP Gallade was at. I thought he was at 30. He was actually around like 40, 45%. At +1, power-up punch did like 36% to 36% max. Mach punch did 36 max to the Gallade here. So I ended up Mach punching here just to get the Tyrantrum down. I'm +1. I'm feeling great. I got my leftovers rolling. I knew there was a chance that Head Smash could miss, or that I think I had like a 10% chance to live. Like, it was not a good roll, but I knew I had to knock it out. But he was at like 50%. I had completely read it wrong. And I Mach punch, and look how close it was to a knockout. He's under 10% there. He gets the Ice Punch and knock us out, and we actually lose this match 1-0. Now, at the time, I didn't even feel bad. I was like, all right, that was my best play. There was nothing I could really do about it. And then, like, maybe 2 or 3 hours later, after the match, I was driving to work, and literally had an epiphany in my head. And I was like, oh my god, I should have spored. So, like, the question is, why didn't I spore? And I'll tell you why that was the best option to do against his team, or against the Tyrantrum. So Tyrantrum was scarfed into Head Smash. That meant, one, he wasn't knocking me out, and he wasn't knocking me out with Breloom on that first turn. If he was scarfed into Ice Punch, it'd be a different story, or Ice Fang, whatever it is. Different story, but he's into Head Smash. So one, it could miss, and two, he's not knocking me out. If I spored, the next turn, he's guaranteed to be asleep because he was faster than me. So turn one, he is asleep. He is asleep. Power-up punch puts me up to +1. The next turn, all I had to do was have the Tyrantrum either stay asleep or wake up and miss Head Smash, which was a higher probability chance of happening than my Mach punch at +1 knocking out the Gallade. So if I got a second power-up punch off against the Tyrantrum, I would have been +2, and it would have been doing like 48 or something. I forget what the calc was. It was close to 50%, which he was obviously under after the Stealth Rock's damage. And Mach punch at +2 would have knocked out the Gallade. So I ended up like retroactively being really disappointed in myself when at the time at the end of this battle, like, I wasn't even mad, I wasn't upset. Like, it was just a really close game that I lost 1-0. But it is unfortunate because, like, that would have been our 4th win, and instead now we're 3-3 going into the last week of the regular season. At 4-2, I would have guaranteed made playoffs, and at 3-3, I still had positive differential, but it was like really scary. I had to win week 7, or I wouldn't make playoffs. Where if I just won in week 6, I could have just had fun in that last week. But it's whatever. I digress. Breloom could have won me that game, but I didn't pilot it correctly. Whatever. But phenomenal, credit to my opponent. Like, he had such amazing prep with the Shuckaberry Metagross, with the Expert Belt, Azelf, freaking Cell Battery Entei, and then Scarf Tyrantrum. Like, that was honestly phenomenal prep against my team. And I know this team is really hard to prep against because it's so wide open with all of the 4 times weaknesses. But yeah, I can't speak highly enough of how he did prepping against this matchup. So we are 3-3. I forget our differential. I think it's like +2 or something like that. But we have one more match in the regular season. And the question is, will the dream come true? Our goal was to win one match. And now we can actually make the playoffs with a win. A win and in, if you will. But for now, I'm actually just going to sign off here and get right next to recording that next episode for you. Again, I'm releasing all the episodes of the off season, all the matches of the off season, all at once here. So hopefully you subscribe to the channel and are able to click the next one in the series, and you're still excited and interested in how the Solgaleo are going to finish off the off season. But for now, this is Zemanon and the Detroit Solgaleo signing off. We will see you next week.